Welcome back to the shipyard. We've got a new rule book. Yeah, I know I'm 2 hours late, but there was this thing called sleep, a thing I'd still be doing if it wasn't for a phone call and text saying, "There's a new rule book, wake up!" Yeah, so I'm still in the process of downloading it, and we're going to go over this live. Like, you are getting my absolute first impressions on these rules. I know nothing. I know nothing. So here we go. Uh, Before we get going too much more, I'm moving my mic. So sorry if this causes issues. Okay. Same cover image. That much is cool. Updated components. That's something. Mission token. Damage deck? One initiative token. One admiral token? That'll be interesting. See who gets the admiral token. My guess would be Klingons for Kimpick, but could be Feds. Uh, Damage cards. Okay, good. So there is a new damage deck. That's good. I've lost 2 direct hits from one of my damage decks. Probably lost mid origins. We'll see. Okay. Captain ID tokens. It looks like we're getting a new Picard 8. My guess would be a reprint of the Enterprise D prize ship Picard 8. Maneuver templates, action tokens. Ah, well, if you look over here on the captain cards, I'd say we're not getting a redo of the Enterprise D Picard 8 double talent icons and some kind of a range. Uh, I I can't make out any more than that, but that seems cool. Beverly Crusher, that'll be nice to get another version of her. Again, these aren't rules, but I get excited about such things. Hey, actual effect tokens. That'll be good. So booting them in from the start will make them keep doing them, hopefully. Yeah, as we thought, initiative. Which player currently has initiative? I have a sneaking suspicion that that will show up a lot. Admiral token. Okay, same admiral tokens as we've seen, fleet action as we've seen. Oh, well, now we know what the Enterprise D does. When defending, the attacking ship rolls -1 attack die for 26 points. What's the Galaxy cost? The Venture is a galaxy I can search for. 28 normally. So this is 2 point. Galaxy's now 2 points cheaper. Yeah, I can be on board with 2 point cheaper Galaxy. Okay, setup. This is going to be where the big money's made. Players agree on a faction they control Fedra Klingon. Belonging to one player, all components belonging to one player are considered friendly. And all components belonging to their opponent are considered opposing. Okay. Oh, okay. We're getting an exocomp. That's cool. 4 point 4-point photon torpedoes in the starter. Another O'Brien, that'll be nice. A Kimpek, a Klingon Wharf, that'll be nice. And today is a good day to die. Looks like the named Vorcha is going to be 25 points. That'll be something. A little discount. Because the Mata was 28, so that's 3 points cheaper. Wow. That'll be different. All right. Assembly looks the same. The rest of that looks the same. Player forces. Captains, ships are still placed lowest to highest. There's multiple ships share the same captain skill. The player with initiative. Okay, we're gonna have to get to that. And you place anywhere within range 1. Okay. Then you do gather forces, raise shields, and then other components. Okay. So all that's still standard, still 3x3. Okay. Okay. So not any kind of a huge radical departure. I like that. That's encouraging. That's we start and we go. Okay. Okay. The same game that we know, same game we love. We're okay. We can deal with this. All right, game round. This is where everything's going to be different. Oh, so now I'm getting back and I'm reading chat. The exocomp was seen in one episode of TNG. It was the little robotic um it was a robotic assist that they had on a starbase that it helped like a mining operation, and it performed tasks that both for humans. And then they had this whole debate if they could actually send an exocomp in to do a job, because the exocomp seemed to be gaining sentience. So it was kind of weird, but that was the reality of a lot of TNG. But I digress there. All right. Step 1 of the game round, planning phase. Each player secretly chooses one maneuver for each of their ships using that ship's maneuver dial. Cool. We're still on the same page there. Then we go to activation. You activate in ascending order, so low to high, revealing and executing maneuvers, and then immediately performing an action. Cool. Combat. Each ship may perform one attack in descending order. You gotta be inside primary firing arc within range. Some ships have secondary firing arc. Okay, and then in phase. Okay, all shield tokens that are flipped to their disabled sides can be flipped back to their active sides for free. Disabled shields are not the same thing as damaged shields. Shields that are damaged during combat are removed from play until they are repaired by a special ability. So now we actually know what damaged means. I think that matters for the Krichta, the Ferengi ship. So damaged is now what destroyed meant. Players remove unused scan evade battle stations. Cloak tokens that were red go away. Cloak tokens still on green stay in place if you want to. And then you resolve any in-phase abilities. And then we go to a new round. Okay. So in detail, at this point I'm kind of skimming, but Yeah, so that much looks the same. Planning, exactly the same planning as you are used to. Um, Activation. Reveal the ship's maneuver dial, flipping it face up. Take the maneuver template, put it in front. Yeah, okay. Come about being the exception. Ship executes a maneuver that causes its base to physically overlap. Check for power strain. Okay, clean up. Good. Then perform actions. We'll get there. Breaking ties. Then we go to the initiative, which we're getting to in a moment. If a single player owns multiple ships with the same captain skill, they may activate those ships in the order of their choosing. That's a little different than the same captain skill and same faction, I hope. Fingers crossed on that. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Okay, so they're actually clarifying that free action does not count as one action allowed during the perform action step. That's good. That's a nice thing that we didn't have at the very start of the game when it first came out. So now we actually have it in place. Da-da-da-da. Cloak. Cloak is always telling how they word it. Okay, you have to have at least one active shield in order to perform a cloak action. That's good definition. Might be the same. I don't remember. Um, Here we go. While cloaked, replace the ship's printed agility value with its printed agility value plus 4. That's important. I know enough to know, because I've been told things, that the word replace is something to look out for. So saying replace for cloak, hugely important. Darn, they didn't give bank echoes. I was really hoping that would come out. Maybe as an upgrade. Maybe the Romulans will get that in their faction pack for a reasonable cost. Oh, a ship cannot perform a sensor echo if it would cause its base to overlap a ship or a similar obstruction. I think that's been in play, but it's nice to have it absolutely stated here. Um, and if sensor echo is impossible, the ship, you take it back, and you cannot get a non-free action this round. Wow, that hurts. Okay, target lock. So interesting here that on point 2 they say if the opposing ship is at range 1, 2, or 3. So they're really trying to clear up the wording there. Um, I like that. You can target lock 360 still. That's important. So nothing too big there. You can still target lock the turn that somebody cloaks, but not after they've been cloaked. And you still keep your target lock after somebody cloaks. Okay, now we have regenerate actually spelled out in the activation or in the book. So that's good. No more card with every new ship that has regenerate. Of course, you can still pass. Guys, I'm sorry, this is not the most thrilling bit either, but I think we're about to get there. Because now we are going for combat phase, actually. Yeah. Just had to make sure that the range ruler stuff was still the same. Combat phase. You declare target, of course. Roll attack dice step. Roll red dice. Attack dice. Unless you're using a secondary weapon, then you do that. Modify attack dice step. You can spend action tokens, right? Okay, that's all still the same. Modify defense dice step. Compare results step. Deal damage. Yeah, okay. So all of that's still the same. After resolving the final step, the ship with the next highest captain skill resolves the same step. Players continue to resolve combat for the ships in order of captain skill from highest to lowest, until all ships have had the opportunity to perform an attack. If multiple ships had the same captain skill, the ship whose player has the initiative token resolves its combat steps first, and simultaneous attack rule. Okay, if a player owns multiple ships with the same captain skill, they may resolve the attacks of those ships in the order of their choosing. Great. So no more, oh, I've got a Fed ship and then a Romulan ship, so I have to fire Fed ship, then Romulan ship. I just get to fire my skill 8 captains. That's a big change. I I'm just skimming again here because nothing really seems to have changed. Okay. Uh, Okay. In phase. So combat looks to function exactly the same, which is weird. Unless I totally messed something. But assuming I didn't, then we go from there. In phase. So if if you have a lot of stuff that you're trying to do at the same time as your opponent, then you can say, "Hey, I want to act in ascending order of captain skill," which is totally different than anything that's been done. So if two or more captains have the same captain skill, then it's if you have initiative, you go last. So cloak tokens uh, that are flipped to red have to be removed. But if you're going to elect to decloak, then you have to do so. You bring all your shields back. You remove tokens. I mean, that's going to happen regardless. But then it's also things like Brunt. It's placing ships back on the board from warp jump. It's stuff like that. Okay, now the additional rules, because this is where everything seems to get put when they want to hide it and make the game actually function as a game. Well, as now chat's blowing up, so give me a second here. Okay, so suffering damage, that looks to be, yeah, the same. You suffer damage one at a time. Shields first, then hull. Uh, crits are crits. We know that. Ships are immediately removed. Darn, that was an opportunity for them to go D&D attack wing on us and let ships stay until the end of the round. Sigh. A simultaneous attack rule. Yeah. Still the same thing. Okay. Really, I get to initiative and I can't even get to initiative when squad building in the same place. Yeah. um, to randomly determine which player starts with initiative, you roll dice. Whoever has more battle station results starts with initiative. Uh, then it gets passed. So we're swapping initiative every round. I guess that's good. I mean, I think we've complained for a while that's like, why do you always have initiative just because you want a die roll? I know that was a complaint of mine early. Not really a complaint, a minor annoyance. So, yeah, I consider swapping initiative to be strategically less satisfying, but I know that it came into play at nationals against me when Peter won initiative in my second round match. It was like, oh, really? Now I have to deal with him moving first this whole game. Or moving last. No, moving first, shooting first. Yeah. Yeah, but now when you have initiative, ships with initiative act last. So they activate last, but they shoot first. So you get the best of both worlds there. You get to see what your opponent does, and you get to shoot them first. Which, as Will was saying in chat, it's as if you have initiative plus 0.5. And all your ships have +1. Or all your ships, regardless of faction, go for it. So you choose the order when you have the same skill, which is going to be a change, but one that simplifies the game, and I do like that. Yeah, when you have a dispute, take it to your TO. I know what the rules here say for a game, but in a tournament, take it to your TO. Fleeing the battlefield. Yeah, same rules. Um, okay. Ox power is the same thing. Disable shields are the same. Right. If you have a specific number, you have to have that many numbers. All remaining, you can have 0. Hopefully, that clears it up. Read the book, people. Um, okay. Upgrades. Oh, hey, torpedo fuselage. Uh, what? That card's fantastic. The cost is equal to primary weapon value. The attack is equal to primary weapon value. But then you remove it's a attack. Remove this card from the game and target all opposing ships. Range 2 to 3. A Klingon weapon I like. That's wow. That's the biggest thing to come out of today. Um, Yay for spoilers in a rulebook. Huzzah. Um, okay. Yes. Disable, same thing. I think. Oh, okay. Icons, upgrade restrictions. We've got ship class, faction class, and then like the square is going to be ship with captain of faction. That makes sense because the captain is a square for their initiative, so that would work. Huh. Huh. Circle point slash is if it's not on the right faction, it costs more points. Firing arcs we've seen whole value greater than, whole value less than, and if I would imagine we'd see shield value greater, shield value less than. Uh, and yeah, so I tried getting my co-hosts. They they weren't available. It made me sad. Yeah. So if you're just wondering why me, uh, this should have been a Craig, a Nick, and a David, but it's just a David. So sorry. Um, Cardability anatomy. We've seen this. That Deanna Troy looks interesting. Secondary weapons. Not being affected. Timing. Ah, here we go. Unless otherwise specified, effects, abilities, etc., that specify a phase, step, or time to activate in can only activate at the beginning of the specified phase, step, or time. Effects, abilities, etc., that activate at any time can only be activated between phases or at the start of a phase, step, or time when any other effect could be activated. Good rule. Good, clear rule. I mean, I don't like the at any time side of that, but because at any time really does not need that restriction, but it is what it is. Uh, the first half of this clears up a lot of stuff. Uh, Combat versus non-combat. So there's combat effects and there's non-combat effects. So any effect that occurs within the combat phase, uh, like modify attack dice, stuff like that. Any effect that would cause an attack to be made outside of the normal combat phase would be damage or damage to be dealt, for example, an action that would allow for an attack to be made during the activation phase. That is a non-combat effect. Okay. And then any effect that would affect the attack dice or defense dice being rolled during an attack. This includes anything that would add, subtract, replace, modify, reroll, or otherwise affect the dice. The cloak action, something like core or car, uh, Riker, Hood Riker. You guys know all of those things. So, okay. This is all setting up. Now I see stuff. Okay. This means that effects such as those granted by a cloak token would be in effect. Cloak works against Worf, Admiral Worf. That's what this all means. Because Worf generates an attack that creates combat, and then Cloak comes into play. That's what this does. Because for the purposes of all rules, the attack counts as being in the combat phase. Yeah. So if an ability allows a ship to make an attack outside of the normal combat phase, carry out the normal combat steps of the combat phase for that attack. For the purposes of all rules, the attack counts as being in the combat phase. So yes, cloak finally works outside of combat, or rather it works outside of the combat phase as long as you're in combat. You're not considered to be cloaked during the activation phase, but you are if you're attacked. If that makes any sense, but that's the fix that we need. It may not be the fix that we want, but it's the fix that we need. All right, non-combat effects include any effect that does not fit into one of the three categories. But for example, an action that would allow a ship to repair a shield, discard a crew from an opposing ship. Combat effects do not affect non-combat effects, and vice versa. For example, a combat effect that would disallow a ship from rolling defense dice would not prevent a ship from activating a non-combat effect that would require that ship to roll defense dice. That's how Nanclis works. Nanclis stops combat defense dice, does not stop Madred defense dice. Ha! Ha 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 ha. I win. Sorry, I don't gloat often, but ha. Nanclis is a combat effect, not a non-combat effect. Okay, rule of three. Guys, I may have known about this for a while and I had to sit on it. Oh, I had to sit on this. Whenever the sum of all modifiers applied to any value, primary weapon value, agility value, hull value, shield value, attack value, maneuver speed, range, captain skill, squadron points, etc., is greater than plus or minus 3, the sum of all modifiers is instead plus or minus 3. All modifiers continue to apply to that value, only their sum is changed. So, bye-bye Super Equinox, bye-bye Duros, bye-bye yeah, those are kind of the big two. Voyager takes a hit from this because you can't just stack the defense dice. Yeah, those are probably the big three. So, what does this mean? Cloak gets around this because it's a replacement effect. Cloak so if you're cloaking a Daenerys, now you go to 6 printed, and then you modify from there. So conceivably, a Daenerys could get up to 9 defense dice, or down to 3. That's its new range. But 6 is the starting point. And that is a whole lot better. Oh, also, hey, this is really good. The range bonuses of plus 1 attack die at range 1 and plus 1 defense die at range 3 do not count as a modifier for the purposes of the rule of 3. Ooh, that's a relief, because that would have been really annoying. So annoying. Oh, the Hakona. The Hakona is actually really hurt by the rule of 3. Because now you can't just load the battlefield up with a whole bunch of Romulan science vessels. Oh, yeah, Madred. Madred's hurt by captain skill modifiers. Riker is hurt, or well, Pegasus Riker just does his thing, and then a captain can only benefit from Pegasus Riker. They can't tack on an admiral and another skill boost. Madred can only get up so far, like to 10. Now Madred can't get further. Yeah, Core can only get to 11. That's big. Yeah, squadron points only being reducible by 3. That's a huge difference. So you cannot make a 5-point card free. You can't make a 10-point card free or even down to 5. You can only get it down to 7. Though it does raise some questions. If the +3 factors in for things that are like, this is +5 on a ship not of the same class or not of the same faction. And I'm specifically thinking of Energy Dissipator. Because if that's the case, and then it's only +3, all of a sudden it's good. Like really good, because now you're not paying 11 points for it, you're paying 8. And I could see that. The order in which replacements, modifiers, and range bonuses take place is irrelevant. Calculate a value, start with the printed value, and then apply any replacements, first numbers, and then those that multiply or divide, and then the sum of all modifiers. For example, a ship that has a printed agility value of 1 during the activation phase, that ship's agility value is modified by +5, reduced to +3 by its upgrades, and it uses a cloak action. The cloak replaces its agility value with 1 +4 to 5, which is then modified by +3 to 8. Later, an opposing ship reduces its agility by -1 with an upgrade or with a scan token. Because all modifiers continue to apply to the value, the agility value is now modified by +5 -1 +4, and it's still reduced to +3. Thus, the ship has an agility value of 8. So just because you put in your +3 and then somebody knocks it by -1, you still had a +5. So technically you have a +4, but that's still just a +3. Yeah, it's only if they had 2 more scan tokens that they could knock it down further. So you can stack and stack and stack and get to like a +5, just so if your opponent does stuff, you can actually knock it down or prevent it from being knocked down. But there are limits to it. Guys, I just got a big grin. Factions. Smaller factions are now listed, are now sub-factions listed under prime factions. A sub-faction represents a minor species that is affiliated with or part of a prime faction. Game elements belonging to a sub-faction also count as their prime faction for the purposes of all rules. However, prime faction ships do not count as their sub-factions unless otherwise stated. The prime factions and sub-factions are as follows. Federation is a prime, Vulcan and Bajoran are sub-factions. That makes total sense. I mean, we spent 7 years of Deep Space Nine getting Bajor into the Federation. And yes, I know they didn't sign a treaty at the end, or they didn't actually become Federation, but they did in book canon. I believe they do in STO canon. Like it is just part of the natural progression of the Federation. So if anyone had any doubt of Bajor becoming part of the Federation, get over it. Klingons are prime, they have no sub-faction. Romulans are prime, they have no sub-faction. Dominion are prime, they have no sub-factions. Independents, they're prime, they have 3 sub-factions. Ferengi, Kazon, Xindi. Independents just got a whole hell of a lot better, and No, I'm not sorry for using a quote unquote swear word there. But yeah, um, Sakona, you're welcome. Because now Sakona can go on a Ferengi, a Kazon, or a Zindi ship and discount everything by 2, and it's still considered faction pure. By the way, faction purists suck it. Borg are a prime faction, and nothing ever deals with them. Mirror Universe are a prime species. 8472 are prime, and Q Continuum are prime. But they don't pay faction penalty for anything, anyways. So they're really a prime and a sub faction to everything. That feels right. Um, I like where this game is. I really like those faction bits. Um, I think this takes the 5 factions that were slightly problematic, although Zindi was right on the verge of being something. And it says, you know what? We're okay. This really, 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 really excites me for the independent faction pack, because now it could be Gorn, Hirogen, Tholians, Ferengi, Kazon, Zindi. I don't know. It could be anything. Okay. Now I'm catching up on chat. So let's see. John, the highest captain skill is still Con, Gen Con, because Con copies, which is a replacement effect. It is not an addition. So Gen Con still works exactly how he works. That's perfectly fine. As for other captains, uh, it would be no Picard 9 with Pegasus Riker gets to 12, uh, and that's the highest captain skill you can get. Well, somebody printed at skill 9 with a +3. Core 8 with skill Worf is a close second, but that's 11. Um, as far as reducing costs beyond 3, we're about to enter a world with captured Calvin Hudson, so that's -1 to everything. And then Taxacona on, that's -3 to everything. If you had another effect that discounted on top of that, then you'd be looking at -4. Granted to your weapons, but that's uh, where you'd be going. So uh, at this point, it limits discounting weapons to Sakona Calvin Hudson, which is your -3. And yes, Will, I understand that I don't want to cost 8 Varel, but it seems like that's what the rules are telling me that I do. Unless that +5 is a replacement effect, which I believe that they are. I believe that because she's not on a Romulan science vessel, her cost is 10 instead of 5. And yes, I don't believe that the sub faction thing is meant to help the sub factions. I eh, I believe that it's meant to help the prime factions. So we're gonna reread that section again. Game elements belonging to a sub-faction also count as their prime faction for the purposes of all rules. So everything Ferengi is now Ferengi independent. Everything Kazon is Kazon independent. Everything Zindi is now Zindi independent. Yeah, because a subfaction represents a minor species that is affiliated with or part of a prime faction. So game elements belonging to a subfaction also count as their prime faction. So Vulcan is now Vulcan fed, and Bajoran is Bajoran fed. That's what's happened. So 5 factions have become dual faction in their entirety. That does, you know, kill a couple of cards. Like there's a Fed to Paul that could go on Vulcan without paying penalty. There's the Vulcan Captain that discounts Vulcan and Fed tech, but minor quibbles there. So we're essentially playing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, essentially an 8 faction game. And yeah, Calvin Hudson Quark's Treasure is going to be a thing. It doesn't even need captured now. And I feel really sorry for Chris and Robert trying to code Utopia and Space Dock now. Like I truly feel sorry for them. This is going to be crazy. Yeah. Okay, primary, secondary, and 360 firing arcs. Forward are primary arcs. Those are marked with the up cone. Rear firing arcs are secondary. Those are marked with the down cone. 360 firing arcs, the circle, do not count as primary or secondary firing arcs. Interesting. Shuttlecrafts are treated as normal ships with the following exceptions. They can only attack at range 1 to 2. It's either active in play or inactive docked. You cannot equip cards to a shuttlecraft with a cost of more than 3, including face down cards. Interesting. Well, that's trying to kill something. For each shuttlecraft assigned to your fleet, there must be one ship with printed hull value of 4 or more referred to as a capital ship. Okay, okay. Yeah. I feel like that shuttlecraft more than cost of more than 3 is a direct response to the to Robert's warp jump shuttle. Yeah. Oh well, nice to have a rule. Nice to be somebody responsible for a rule too. During the activation phase, shuttle may use the following action dock on a friendly capital ship. If it's place all the cards equipped to shuttlecraft beneath the shuttlecraft ship card. Place then remove your shuttle from the play area. All the tokens that were beside the shuttlecraft place aside. Place an occupier token beside the capital ship. All right. Okay. Oh, did I skip? I skipped penalties for overlapping another ship base. Yeah, we'll finish the shuttlecraft thing. Uh, mm, Oh, oh, this is big. During the planning phase, a player may launch a shuttlecraft from the capital ship by choosing a maneuver on the shuttlecraft's maneuver dial, placing the appropriate maneuver template so that it's flush with any side of the capital ship's base and does not extend beyond any edge of the base. So you've got to have the maneuver template lined up with the base. You can't do like partial. That's good because we had some wacky shuttle maneuvers deployment stuff. So this kind of reins some of that in. Place the shuttlecraft to the opposite end of the template, sliding the rear guides of the shuttle into the opposite end of the template, then remove the maneuver template. Then separate the shuttlecraft ship cards and place an Ox power token beside both ships. The shuttlecraft may not move normally during the turn it launches. Yeah. Okay. So that's the jab for shuttles. They launch, but then they don't move. I Even more reason to never launch your shuttle. Um, Attack squadrons look the same. Yeah. Okay. Time tokens. Yeah. Pretty clear. Continuous effect tokens. We've got a few different types, but yeah. Continuous and permanent effect tokens. Hopefully, we'll see more of those. Admiral cards, we know how those work. If an admiral ship card has a communications failure and injured captain, um, they do not apply to your face-up admiral card. The admiral skill modifier still applies to that ship, but the fleet action is then only usable by the admiral ship. Okay. Oh, resources. They put resources in here. That's something. Oh, they're like standardizing resources in the main rulebook. That wow. Yeah. Yeah. If the resource is equipped to a specific ship, captain, admiral, upgrade, etc., the points for that resource are scored when the ship, captain, admiral, upgrade is destroyed, which we knew, but that's what you figure. Uh, okay, initiative when squad building. The player with the lowest squadron point total at the start of the game starts the game with initiative. Um, if you're tied, you roll. Okay. Um, and we do officially have clarification that that X is one per ship, as we knew, but now it's official. Mirror universe unique is still the same. You can have a prime and a mirror unique. Uh, Obstacles. That's a weird looking minefield token. Anyways, uh, they just leave the missions. They did just leave the missions from the old book. That's funny. Okay. Hey, let's play Do I Recognize Playtester Names? Scott DiAgostino. Yeah, he works for WizKids. Met him, had a flight with him. Good guy. Uh, uh William Bueller. Yeah, good guy. Kaylee Rourke. Cool. Cool. Thank you. Gary Adamaski. Cool. Brian Nuri. Really? Uh, okay. Uh, Ben Chong. Okay. Okay. Richard Kovhas. Yeah, big surprise that the judges from Origins were involved in playtesting for the new system. Shocker, guys. I never would have guessed that you guys were involved with this system. Never in a million years. Uh, oh, and special thanks to Steven Van Deventer. No idea what you did, but you know what? A heartfelt thanks to everyone involved in this system. I I look forward to to exploring more of this. Thank you all for the hard work. Uh, you you all deserve a big thank you. So I know there are more of you involved in playtesting. I I know there are people who did not elect to have names included, but nevertheless, thank you to all of you. So um, you all have put in a lot of work, and these rules show it. It's not easy. It's there's good stuff. There's good stuff here. I really think this rule of three will simplify the game. Will help the game, and you know I don't I don't know that that everything is perfect, but I don't know that you can ever truly create a perfect game system. The best we can hope for is a solid game system where the rules continue to continue to react and to where we have questions answered. So hopefully that continues. Okay. Wait. Okay. I'm just catching up on chat. John, where's the female changeling spoiler drop? Oh, is it on WizKids Facebook page maybe? Uh, I'm being inundated by messages on Facebook. I have too many things. I'm too. I was going to say popular, but that sounds bragging. I just have too many people that want my attention and group messages with these new rules. Um, yeah, I had to ignore people for so long because I was slow reacting to these rules. John, post in chat or send me a message. Um, oh, Steven dropped it on Facebook. Okay. Oh, for the second division? Okay. So the best guess. So here, I think yeah, you guys don't need to see all of my chats. Um, that's gorgeous to see, by the way. Okay. The best I can guess. I think yes, that is presenting. Cool. So people are asking, what's with the dashed lines? Uh, here's my best guess. I think that something will only work in that limited 45-degree firing arc because the description here says the first forward facing secondary firing arc. That's my guess. I think that's where they fire their torpedoes from. I think that maybe they even have some kind of a special, like not phaser, but equivalent of a phaser weapon that only works from those forward arcs. Do you remember? Well, maybe not, but in early days, people were doing customs of the Sona, and they were designing them with like 45-degree forward arcs or even smaller, like 30-degree forward arcs. And so there were these really teeny tiny firing arcs, but they were super powerful. That's what this reminds me of. 22 and a half degrees. Yes. But yes, the Dominion's back in purple. It's cool. I Yeah, these faction packs and the new starter drop on October 25th. I have already pre-ordered stuff, like everything through Wave 4 card packs, independent faction pack, basically everything that's been announced. And $200 later, my wallet is crying. One of everything. I may have to order a second starter, but I figure I can order seconds of things as I know more. That's my take. So we'll go from there. All right. Um, well, that was a really fun way to end this. Um, I I I will be around later. Right now, I have to head off, not because I want to, but because I have to take my dad to the doctors. So, as some people know, he did take me to my Star Trek tournament in Fremont. So uh, he was the proud papa watching me dominate, and I appreciate that. So you do things for family, and one of the things I can do for him is take him to a doctor's appointment. So I I got to do that, and I'm sorry that I have to leave, but such is life. Thank you all for hanging out for a short time, but I do appreciate it. It's been a fun hour. I'm sure we will have many more discussions about these rules. I will try to get Nick and Craig around sometime, not tonight because Nick's got a tournament, but but we'll be around. And we will do a proper Warp Core breach about these new rules once we've had a time to digest, and we'll go from there. So, thank you all for watching, and until next time, we'll see you around the shipyard. Take care.